Throughout my career coaching businesses and running businesses, owning businesses, starting businesses, and selling businesses, I have worked with some very successful people. People that have made a ton of money financially, many of which are great people. Some people who are terrible people. But at the end of the day, earning money is all about solving a problem for your ideal and likely buyers in exchange for money. You solve a problem for your ideal and likely buyers in exchange for money. That's as deep as it is. But many people want to spiritualize the acquisition of money. They want to make money something related to the Bible and their spirit life. And if I'm doing a good job, then I'm going to make more money. And if I'm spiritually aligned, I'm going to make really good money. If I'm being a great dad, I'll make more money. If I'm being a good mom, I'll make great money. But if I'm being a bad dad spiritually or a bad person spiritually, maybe I'll make less money. But that is simply not how money works. And so on today's show, we break down what the Bible has to say about money. But before we do that, I would love for you to hear what Bishop T.D. Jakes has to say about money.
Our mentality is we need a miracle. I'm believing God for a car. I'm believing God for a house. I'm believing God for a coat. I'm believing God for a house. I'm believing God to send my kids to private school. I hate to tell you this. There are atheists that send their kids to private school. There are drug dealers that have a car. That's not a miracle. You don't need God. You need a good job. You need to come to work. You need to save your money. You can get you a car. You don't need to call on heaven and provoke the angels to get a car. That magical mentality is killing the church. We are asking God for stuff that we can do ourselves. Oh, God, help me.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes! Thrive Nation, on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we are discussing this thing called the parable of the talents. This idea, this concept. I'm sure many have heard of this idea. Jason, when did you first read about the parable of the talents?
I personally first heard about it, what was that, last week in, it was like the Monday or Tuesday meeting.
Okay, and it comes from Matthew 25, that's chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. When you read the parable of the talents, what did you get out of this reading from that controversial book known as the Bible?
Well, I definitely had to read it twice, because the first time I read through it and I thought, yep, those are words. So I went back in to get a deeper meaning. But my overall understanding of it was everybody's given something, and what you choose to do with it is going to greatly, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to impact the outcome of said gift.
Okay, so let me read the Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. It reads, "For it will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servants and entrusted them to his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability." Quick time out. What that means is we all are given a certain amount of talent or skill, or maybe some of us are born with a lot of money. Some of us inherited money. Some of us have no money. Some of us are tall. Some of us are short. Some of us are naturally athletic. Some of us are not. So it says, "For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted them his property. To one he gave 5 talents. To another he gave 1, to each according to his ability." So it says, to one he gave 5 talents. To another 2. To another 1. To each according to his ability. So I would ask you right now, how much resources were you given? Did you inherit a lot? Did you grow up with a lot of money? Did you come up without money? Did you take your ACT 3 times like me? Did you struggle with algebra like myself? Do you struggle in school a little bit? Was school easy for you? Are you black? Are you white? Are you male or are you female? Are you living in a a state that's very pro-business, one that's anti-business. What cards have you been dealt is the initial question. What cards have you been dealt? So again, he says, for it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 more talents. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents here, and I made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little, and I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also, who had 2 talents, came forward, saying, Master, you delivered me 2 talents, and here, look, I've made 2 more talents. His master said to them, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little, and I will set you, he says, and I will set you over much. So he did a little, he took a little, the guy had 2 talents,
Right.
and he multiplied it.
Right.
So his boss says, Hey, man, you did well with the little thing, so I'm going to give you some more. The homeboy who was given 5 talents doubled it, and he says, Great job, good job, way to go, good job, right? That's what we're talking about here. But then he says, enter into the joy of your master, he says. Oh, now here we go. Now the story takes a twist here. He says, he also who had received the 1 talent came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master answered, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But for the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and the gnashing of teeth. Oh man,
It's a tough read, right?
Okay, so what we're talking about is one guy was given 5 talents and was able to double it.
Right.
The other guy was given 2 and was able to double it.
Yep.
And the one guy had 1 talent. He had less than anybody else, and he squandered it. He buried it. He didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, just left it alone.
So how does that relate to your life, Jason? What did you get out of this?
Well, what I got out of it was it doesn't matter what you were given. It matters what you do with it. So in relation to this, and I've talked about it plenty of times before, but like one of my favorite T.D. Jakes quotes is, every day is a gift from God. What you do with that is your gift to him. So like in this story, he came through, and there wasn't, let's call them John, Paul, and Gary. John and Paul didn't seem to be more or less than Gary. Gary definitely wasn't less than them, but the 3rd talent received 1, the 2nd received 2, and the 1st received 5. But none of them looked at each other and said, wow, you like the guy who got the 2nd, or he got 2, didn't look to John who got 5 and go, man, he got 3 more than me. I must be doing something wrong. I might as well just, do nothing with this. He said, I was given in a way the same amount. I was given an opportunity by our master, so I might as well go do something with it because I believe that he wants me to do something with it.
Now, I want to give another verse for the listeners out there. I want to break down the Bible's take on money. All right, because so many people wonder, is it unethical to make a profit? So I want to break down the Bible's view on money. So Proverbs 10:4. I'm going to read this to you, Jason. You tell me what this means here. It says, lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. What does that mean?
Well, in direct relation to this, those guys who received the talents and they got no instruction as to what to do with them or why, they thought, well, might as well get to work. And because they were diligent, they were able to return everything that they were given twofold. Now the guy who had nothing did nothing. He buried it. That was the most diligence he had, was digging that hole and burying the talent, whatever that was. And then by the time that his master comes back, he even says, well, if you knew I was going to take it, why didn't you just put it where somebody else could have grown it for you and given it back to me with interest? Like, even doing the smallest little bit of any action would have, saved him from his fate, and he didn't do it. So those who were more diligent not only doubled what they were given, but they received a much bigger reward for the diligence.
Now, when you hear that lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth.
Yeah.
Literally and specifically, what does that mean for the listeners out there?
Well, lazy hands make for poverty. If you are not doing anything, you will not get anything. And if you're diligent, even whatever definition of diligence you want, however it relates to your profession or your hobby or whatever your passion is, as long as you stick to something, you're going to bring wealth in some way.
I want to encourage the listeners out there, if you are somehow feeling that the Bible is against you making a profit, we got to reframe and re-understand what we think about money. I think so many people feel bad or feel guilty that they're making a profit. You shouldn't. It says specifically here, and I've given you verses so you can read this, okay? I don't want you. I see so many Christians who feel bad about making money. Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. Again, read it. Check it out. I mean, this is the story of the talents. Now, Proverbs 10:4 reads, the lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. All right? So the Bible is very clear, very specific. It's all about cause and effect. It's talking about how if you work hard, you'll be given a profit. You can produce a profit. If you don't work hard, you won't make a profit. It's common sense.
Right.
We don't need to get out the sock puppets and, okay, so you're trying to say lazy hands make a profit. I'm saying this to you because the world around you might teach you these things.
Right.
So let me give you an example of what the world would teach. If you go to college for a long time and smoke a ton of weed while there, you eventually are going to be owed something by the world. Isn't that what they teach at college?
Oh, absolutely. One of my new favorite lyrics ever is from the rapper Logic. And he says, people who go to college, basically, the line is, you got 5 degrees but 6 figures in debt. And all you had to do was follow your dreams to get to where you wanted to go, but no, you decided to do what everybody else said because it was easy, and now look where you are.
Think about this. Notable quotable. This is Timothy, 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. I'm going to read this to you, and you tell me what this means to you. Jason, it says, anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than the unbeliever. Let me try again. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, a.k.a. a lazy person, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. What does that mean?
That means you're just a selfish, slothful person. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I sometimes will feel bad because every now and then certain members of my family or friends will say, hey, you do a lot and you don't do enough for you. Well, what I do is for me in providing for my wife and my household. If I just decided that I was not going to cater to her or my boys, aka the 2 pups, then I wouldn't be a man. I'll just put it that way. Like, I would feel less than because I'm not doing anything for the greater good of anybody else.
Now, again, I'm just throwing this out here, and I could just be misreading this, but this is what it says. I don't know. This is of Timothy. Again, 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. Anyone who does not provide for the relatives, okay, so someone who doesn't earn an income and provide for their relatives, anyone who's lazy, who doesn't take care of their family, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith. So that's like saying that again, I could be misunderstanding. It's saying that you are essentially telling God that you are denying your faith. That's pretty rough. Yeah. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith. And if it ended there, I could say, okay, that's pretty rough. If you don't provide for your family, you denied your faith. That's pretty tough.
Yeah.
But then it goes on. It says, and is worse than an unbeliever.
That's like a smack in the face. And that's bringing it right back to T.D. Jakes again.
Yeah.
He had that one sermon about how people come up to the pulpit and they pray for things like cars and getting their kids into private schools. And he's like, hey, guys, I hate to tell you this, but there are atheists and drug dealers who have the things that you want because they do something that provides.
This is so big I want to make sure we're getting this idea because I think somebody out there has it twisted in their mind. I think they think that if you believe in Jesus, money will cometh. It'll just happen. Mm-hmm. And he's not saying that at all. Now Proverbs 6:9, this is my final Bible verse I'm going to give you as we talk about the Bible's view on making profits and money. My final notable quotable from the Bible, final verse, Proverbs 6:9. This is pretty rough. It's true, but it's pretty rough. It says, I'm quoting. It says, "How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep?" It sounds like the Bible's almost taunting lazy people. Is that how you perceive it?
Yeah, because I've seen this quote before, and my first thought was, I should probably read into this because I want to know who he's talking to, because that's a direct punch at somebody.
Right. Now, again, I would encourage you, if you're out there today, there's so many Bible verses about money, and there are countless verses that we could have got into. But I want to make sure that we're getting this idea is that the Bible is not against money.
No.
In fact, the Bible wants you to be a diligent person. Well, diligence means the steady application of effort. So I ask you rhetorically today, what action steps do you need to take to become better in the areas of your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun? So every single day, get up 1 hour before you see the world and get out your to-do list. It's so easy to not do this, but by default, you won't do this. But I encourage you to do it. Get up every day and make a list of the things you're going to get done for today, for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun. Again, get a piece of paper, write it down. Your goals for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun. And then do it.
Yep.
Don't intend to do it, but do it.
Do it.
And if you ever feel like not doing it, flip open that Bible here to Proverbs 6:9 and read, "How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep?" I mean, that's woo. 1 Timothy 5:8 for extra motivation, extra encouragement reads, "Anyone who does not provide for their relatives and especially for their own household has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." That's 1 Timothy 5:8.
That's good.
Proverbs 10:4, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." And finally, Matthew chapter 24, verses 14 through 30. It's the parable of the talents. And that, my friends, is just a little bit of the breakdown on the Bible's view on making profits and money. You got to put in the work to get the results you're looking for. It's all about diligence. Get up every day and make a list for what you want to get done today in the areas of your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun. Make a list every day. Write it down. Knock it out. Boom. You'll get those results. And you can check out the rest of that T.D. Jakes sermon I referenced earlier at the very beginning of the show by doing a quick YouTube search for the phrase or the title, "It's Not for Sale" by Bishop T.D. Jakes. Again, "It's Not for Sale" by Bishop T.D. Jakes, which came out on December 29th of 2019. Now, without any further ado, let's end this thing with a boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom. The top self-help author of all time, Napoleon Hill, once wrote, "Drifting without aim or purpose is the first cause of failure." At 38 years old, I've already achieved my goals. I know my life's purpose and I know my role. I've already stacked enough cash and now I want you to know that I teach business growth cause that is my flow. That's the name of my game. That's the claim of my fame. And that's what I've been doing since the age of 16. You can achieve the success and walk up the steps, but can't cash potential of what we haven't done yet. You don't get paid for the hours that you put in the job. You get paid based on the problems that you actually solve. So I would cancel my vacation and my TV watching too, and spend the rest of my day thinking about the follow through. We all have the big plans, we all have the big dreams, that we could be the king or we could be the queen. The time will never be right for your dreams to ever survive. If we want to achieve, we'd better start that fight.
Will you start that fire today, or let it drift? Let your dreams just wash away.
A goal is a dream with a deadline.
Will you start that fight today?
Life is not a dress rehearsal. You and I will be dead soon. Vision without execution is hallucination. Thomas Edison.